Parshat Behaalotecha, virtues of compromise. What's the primary approach judges should take? One might think that absolutism is a sign of strength. If one has, quote, moral clarity, then they shouldn't budge an inch on their position. In this week's Torah portion, we learn about the nature of the Sanhedrin and its role in ensuring keen justice for the Jewish people. Indeed, compared to systems of justice that only seek retribution over rehabilitation, Judaism takes a more utilitarian approach. Further, Judaism offers a novel approach that arguing that compromise is the approach of the wise. It says, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Karcha says, it's a mitzvah to seek compromise, pshara. As it is written, truth and peaceful judgment should you judge in your gates. It would seem that where there is judgment, there is no peace. And where there is peace, there is no judgment. What is the judgment that incorporates peace? Compromise. The rabbis applied this value to religious compromise. In the Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan is quoted as saying that the first century temple in Jerusalem was destroyed in the time of the Romans only because the people judged according to the Torah. The astonished reply was, what kind of judgment should they have applied? That of the sorcerers? The reply, what Rabbi Yochanan meant was that litigants insisted on strict enforcement of the law and were unwilling to compromise. Centuries later, Rambam affirmed this value. This is not only true for political matters, but also for financial matters as well. When Rabbi Nehunia ben Hakana was asked the secret of his unusual longevity, one of the traits he mentioned was, I was always willing to yield in monetary matters. One's character is not solely measured by their ideals, but also by how they're willing to compromise. There are, of course, values that should not be compromised. But when identity supersedes dignity, then nothing can be achieved. But for the sake of peace, often we must compromise our upper hand, even when we are certain of the truth. Rashi taught that doing, quote, the right and the good refers to a compromise within the letter of the law. So it is our mission today that even when it's difficult to achieve everything that we want, finding the balance where everybody receives something is better than receiving nothing at all. Yet history, and American history especially, is replete with the tragic consequences of a failure to compromise. The Civil War, for example, was the result of 11 Southern states refusing to deal with an elected president who was opposed to slavery, and their attempt to secede and drive Union forces out by military force. Even though the Confederacy was defeated, the Solid South retained an antipathy towards President Lincoln that still endures. Will the world heed the warning of Rabbi Yochanan, or will we sink further into the pettiness without communal responsibility? One Torah commentator wrote, when the judge succeeds in arranging pshara, compromise, he has performed both chesed and emet, kindness and truth. When he has achieved this, he has ensured the continued existence of the world. Since we have learned from God that our universe cannot endure if the only yardsticks to be applied were to be those of strict justice. On the other hand, a pshara, compromise, can certainly not be termed strict justice. The Talmud therefore needs to stress that true justice is compromise, since the objective of justice is to ensure continuity of this universe, and that is precisely what is achieved when people agree to compromise. Today, compromise is a dirty word. One need only look to the dysfunction within our political institutions to see how sharp partisanship on issues ambitious have stalled effective leadership. Ideological purity and partisanship have triumphed over being effective and collaborative where possible. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs wrote, speaking to young leaders at a seminar in Chicago on October 29, 2019, Barack Obama launched an unusually fierce attack on the political culture that has developed in the West in recent years, particularly the use of social media as a political weapon. He criticized its use by people to show how woke they are, how ultra-sensitive to social justice issues, by condemning others online. Quote, this idea of purity and that you'll never compromise, that you're always politically woke, you should get over that quickly, President Obama said, and continued, the world is messy. There's ambiguities. People who do really good stuff have flaws. People who you are fighting may love their kids and share certain things with you. I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, that there is this sense sometimes of the way of making changes is to be as judgmental as possible about other people, and that's enough. I'm a social justice warrior because I judge people. I condemn the other side. Likewise, the state of Israel has frequently offered compromises to bring peace to the region, and yet time and time again, peace talks fail, even when so much compromise is offered. The art of compromise is far from easy, and all of us have much to learn. So much more work needs to happen on the global, national, and interpersonal front. Swallowing our pride and reining in our egos is essential to building a world we want to see. It won't be perfect, but it allows us to endure. Shabbat Shalom.